Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk about today is your putting and understanding the data that I've compiled and how to help you to understand what's a good putt, maybe what's not a good putt. And what we're going to change your mindset is around that when you get to the green, everybody perceives that what we should be doing is always two putting at worst. We should never do worse than a two putt. And I think the big thing to understand is when you look at the top players, they bring up stats sometimes. I think this year it's been Xander Schauffele, that basically he went something like a few hundred holes where he hadn't three putted. But for them to put that stat on the screen shows it's actually not the easiest thing to do, to play a round or two rounds of golf and not have a three putt. So we're going to show you some data today, and we're going to show you some things that, if you're listening to this, get a notepad and pen and write down some of the data I'm saying. So when you go and play or you go and practice, you're relating it to this level. And what I'm going to do today, everything's about a single figure golfer. We're going to look at it and say, because putting isn't really a power side, there's no reason why we all can't be pretty good putters. And it comes down to really technically three things. Can you read the green? Can you hit the putt on the right line? And can you get the right speed? And if you can work on those technical things, but what we're going to show you today is what's a good result. And that's a massive thing for me. I think that's something we don't talk about as golfers. We tend to go far more into the technique. But actually, if you were told you were 20 feet away from the hole and you two putted it every time, you're a single figure golfer putting. Would that take the pressure off your technique and take the pressure off your game? And I think the answer to that would be yes. So as I said, get a notepad and pen ready and just write some of these things down. And we'll probably cover about 6 or 7 different distances and show you, on average, if you were an 8-9 handicap golfer, what you should be achieving, okay, to play to that level. And if you can do a little bit better than this, then you're talking a very low single figure or even a scratch golfer. But especially if you're a guy who's struggling to break 100 or 90, these are definitely things that you can develop and improve your game dramatically around your putting. So we're going to look initially at 3 numbers, okay? Number 1 is the putt I'd say to every golfer, practice the most. And I would say it's probably the least practiced putt. And it's the length of your putter. Practice lots of putts 3 feet from the hole. And the reason is it's the shot you're going to play the most in a round of golf. People think, no, my driving's the one the driver's the club I'm going to use the most. It's not. This is the shot. Statistics show on average, most people, whatever level, unless you're having an amazing day on the green, but on average, you're going to have somewhere between 14 and 20 putts of 3 feet and less. That's right. That's the thing to get your head around. So it's the shot that you should go and practice the most. Now, let's use our data. If you're a single figure golfer and you had a 3-foot putt, on average, you're holing 90% of these. You're still missing on average 10%. And that's where all of a sudden you could have 2 putts of this length on a hole because you missed the 3-foot and you got another one. So that could be 2 just on one hole. But 90% of the time you're going to hole this. So that's your goal. Go to the practice putting green, take 2 or 3 balls onto the green, get your putter set up, and just hit a few putts and just practice from that short distance, roll them in, get used to doing that. Simple as that. So write that down on your notepad. 90% of your putts from that distance we want to be holing, okay? The second distance, these are just easy ones you can go and practice, is 20 feet, okay? So roughly 8 paces. Okay, and 8 paces for the average single figure golfer, this is your 2 putt. So what we're looking for here, can we get that ball? We said 3 feet is 90%. Can we get that ball within 2.5 feet or better from this distance every time? And we're down in 2 putts. So that's what we're looking for from it. 20 feet, get onto the green, practice a few of these. This is your average 2 putt. Get that ball rolling up to the hole. If I can do that every time, I'm down in 2. I'm playing single figure golf. Okay, now if your putting green's big enough to do this, here's your third one. Okay, 60 feet. So we're roughly 8 paces there. We're talking about 25 paces roughly away from the hole. So we're all the way over the other side of the green here. And what would be a par shot from here? This is really important to understand. So these are the sort of distances now, when you're talking 50, 60 feet, it's getting towards a 50-50 chance that you're going to 3-putt it or 2-putt it. Okay, so as long as I get this ball, what would be a par putt? If I probably got this within 6 feet, that's about an average putt for a single figure golfer from 60 feet. Let's see what we can do. If I can get it inside that 3 feet, there's my 2 putt. 6 feet, I'm a 50-50 chance, there's my 2 to 3 putt. Okay, so I've got it up there, probably around about 3.5 feet. I've now got probably a 20% chance that I'm going to miss that, 80% chance I'm going to hold it. Okay, so I think that's a really important thing. I've hit the green. You might have hit a lovely shot onto the green on a par 4. You're 60 feet away and you 3-putt it and you're gutted. The next hole, you end up amazingly, you get the same putt again, 60 feet, and you 2-putt it. That's about what you should do. So there are your 3 initial putts that I want you to look at. Really important to look at that and understand what I'm trying to do, what we're looking to achieve. So write those 3 things down. 90% of your putts from 3 feet. 20-footer is going to be your average 2-putt. 60 feet, you're now going to average half the time you're going to 2-putt, half the time you're going to 3-putt. So what I want you to do when you go and play golf next time is take an extra scorecard or put it on your phone, but I would just use an extra scorecard. When you get to the next tee, just write down 2 things. Number 1, how far was I from the hole? And all I do is, with my green reading, I pace out my putt. So if, let's say the ball was over there, okay, and I pace it out. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just happens to be 8 paces. And let's say I 2-putt it. I'd write down 20 feet because 8 paces for me, roughly 2.5 feet a pace. So 20 feet and I 2-putted it. So I've done what I'm meant to do, okay? Don't worry so much about how many putts you're having. It's where you're putting from. So this is where we're going to go a little bit more in depth now into that data. So if you finish your round and you look at your scorecard and the majority of your first putts are outside 20 feet, let's say that happens 12 times in a round. If you have 24 putts, you 2-putt all of those putts, you've had a great day on the green, okay? If the other 6 putts are inside 20 feet because you've chipped up or you've hit a nice shot onto the green, then now we should be looking at maybe holing a few of these putts. But realize the data only starts to really drop as you get really close to the hole. So if you're putting from 10 feet, so again, write this one down, you're only going to hole 20% of those putts from 10 feet. From 15 feet, you're only going to hole 10%. And if you watch the guys on TV, you'll see those numbers. As soon as they're 15 feet from the hole, they're not holing 90%. They're only holing a very small percentage. And remember, these are the best players in the world. So if you're going out on the green and you're expecting to hole everything from inside 20 feet and you get frustrated by it, realize that golf ball is only just over 1.5 inches across, and that golf hole is just over 4 inches across. So we're only talking about an object that's 2.5 times smaller than the hole, and you're expecting to hole it from 25 feet every time. I see it every lesson. People hit putts, they roll up stone dead, and they go, oh, what have I done? Don't beat yourself up. So, again, just going to keep recapping these things. So if you haven't written them down, please do. Because for me, it's so important that you get your mind happy with what's a good result. So 3-footer, 90% hole. 20-footer, average 2-putt. 60 feet, average 2.5. I'm going to 3-putt it half the time. I'm going to 2-putt it half the time. And this is a single-figure golfer. If we now look at a 10-foot putt, what are we looking? 1, 2, 3, 4 paces. I'm only going to hole this putt as a single-figure golfer 20% of the time. 1 in 5. We go another 5 feet. Now we're down to only 10%. And as soon as you go outside the 20 feet, every 10 feet you're going, you're increasing by about 10 to 12% that you're going to 3-putt it. So by the time you get to 40 feet, quarter of the time you're going to 3-putt it. 75% of the time you're going to 2-putt it. So as I said, hopefully now you've got a bit of data there that, as I said, you can take to the course, but more importantly, do that little exercise I said. It's not about how many putts you have. It's about where have I putted from and how many putts did I have. And if you average out that you've had over 20 feet on average as your first putt, you're not worried where the first putt ends up, because remember, if you 3-putt it from 20 feet, you're going to put 20 feet and a 3 beside it. So on that occasion, you've lost a complete shot. But let's say over the round, on average, you're 20 feet away from the hole with your first putt. So over 18 holes, that's 360 feet. And you have 36 putts. You've played to single-figure golf. That's the big thing to understand. If you look at it and your number's way under that, you've had a great day, or you've chipped the ball close and you've had 36 putts, and let's say it only adds up to 240 feet, then you've not had your best day. But if you've had a day where you're more than 360 and you've had 36 putts, you've had a great day. You've gained against all the other single-figure golfers. And remember what I said, if you're not a single-figure golfer, you're a higher handicap, you've saved a lot of shots. So today's lesson, I mean, you can go onto my YouTube channel, and if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe. And there's lots of videos there, how to stop 3 putting, how to read the apex of the putt, lots of videos there to help you with your putting. But I think if you can get your mind in the right place, I stand over, even as a scratch golfer, if I'm standing over a putt, way over the other side of this green, or way over here, even here, what would we be, 45 feet, I 2-putt this, I'm going to be overjoyed. Okay? I'll be a little bit frustrated if I 3-putt it, but not mentally beat myself up. But if I get this stone dead from here, I can roll that up and get that there. I'm going to take that every time. Realize that's a skill in itself. If you can stand 45 feet away and judge it and roll it down within 6 inches of the hole, that's a pretty decent skill. So make it fun. Use the data if you go to the practice putting green to help you to understand this is what I need to do. Okay? But I think there's no reason why we can't all be single-figure golfers on the putting green. Okay, as I said, please use my other videos to help you to improve your technique, but use this data. As I said, write it down, make a little notebook, stick it in your back pocket. When you pace it out and you're 30 feet away, if you 2-putt it, give yourself a big pat on the back, because that's excellent. Okay, the average tour player, that's his average 2-putt, 30 feet. But he's only holing 50% of his putts from 8 feet. So we're talking about 5-6 feet is the average 50-50 putt for a single-figure golfer. You're all thinking you should be holing everything from 20 feet. This data will show you that's not going to happen. Because remember what we said, the ball isn't very big, and nor's the hole. Okay, the hole is tiny in that respect. So the more you can understand it, the better it's going to get. For me, data is important because it's all about getting your mind in the right place. So if you understand what you need to do, your mind's in a better place when you actually achieve it. Don't have too higher expectations. That is the biggest killer in golf. For me, this is why we don't play as well as we can. That's why the whole idea of my channel is about data and expectations, and then getting a technique and an understanding of what to do on the golf course to improve your game. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's all about data on the putting green, and it's going to help you to reduce those scores, get the mind in the right place, the technique will improve, and you'll see better results.